would fare against the upper moons. In this video, I'll be analyzing and speculating on a hypothetical battle between Muzan and the entire cast of Jujutsu Kaisen. After briefly going over his physical capabilities and unique blood demon arts.
Now here's my question. Is he going to fuck up on two possible things? One, Muzan not only has poison, which sure Sukuna can get around, but cellular degeneration. He just fucks up your body in general. Two, Muzan's moveset, if this is 1v1s, doesn't matter. But if this is in multi-fights, I'm just saying it right here, right now. He's turning people into demons. People are forgetting that Muzan's moveset isn't just that he's a one-on-one fighter. No, it's that he brings a bunch of bullshit around him and just lets him fight for him. And every single person who has a weak enough will, you think Megami isn't going to choose to become a demon instead of fighting this shit to the death? You think that fucking, I don't know, fucking Kusakabe ain't gonna turn? Shit, I'd be
I'll
damned.
tackle a hypothetical Muzan raid in two
We
parts.
got New
If
Age
Muzan were in a
Kokushibo is
similar
just
position as
Kusakabe.
Sukuna, would he be capable of defeating the fighters present during the Shinjuku showdown? And if he would be victorious, how would he fare against the world of Jujutsu Kaisen at large?
Oh, the fighters of
First,
Shinjuku showdown.
let's assess
Okay.
Muzan's stats before throwing him into the gauntlet to see if his nearly undisputed reign in Demon Slayer can transfer to the world of Jujutsu Kaisen.
So they don't have a
Demon
way of
Slayer's
killing him.
pinnacle of power, or at least something pretty close to it, scaling Muzan based on the feats of his thralls and numerous opponents is quite straightforward. With the exception of Yoriichi, anything accomplished within this manga is something that he too could achieve. Low-level Hashira like Kanroji, even before doing mark training in prep to fight Muzan himself, are capable of avoiding lightning strikes pretty consistently. And while the gap in strength pre and post training isn't exactly calculable, Muzan is capable of perception blitzing stronger versions of these characters on numerous occasions. In regards to his AP, Muzan vastly scales above all of his upper and lower ranked demons, some of which are able to complete.
I'm just saying that shit Akaza in that movie was kind of upping them damage feats real quick and saying, hey yo, we may be doing some building level shit, but like watch the AOE real quickly. The destructive capacity is rising.
Obliterate and decimate areas like the Red Light District with their blood demon arts, which can be calced to be about large town level in terms of attack potency, and acts as a pretty solid ceiling for the verse, Muzan included. This level of power doesn't seem too far-fetched when you have characters like Doma just coughing out massive ice statues that require multi-city block levels of output to conjure, while experiencing a nearly fatal dose of poison and being inferior to Muzan even at his strongest. As is usually the case when scaling characters like this, Muzan's durability should at least be comparable to his attack potency, as he isn't immediately crushed or destroyed by the force of his own attacks. People like to note that Muzan took damage from this random explosion as a way to downplay his resilience, but forget that the gunpowder used in Demon Slayer is not only deemed to be specially equipped to harm demons, but was also lined with shrapnel meant to deal with them as well. It'd be like calling Superman bow and arrow level just because he can be pierced by arrows lined with kryptonite. Now, aside from these base physicals, Muzan has a plethora of techniques that include body modification and manipulation, shockwave creation, infinite stamina, ridiculous regeneration speed that floors lightning timers, and poisonous blood that he infuses into every one of his.
Yeah, no, here's the thing, right? How the fuck is the JJK cast supposed to hurt him? Unless they can hold him till sunlight, there ain't nothing. Because we literally see people cut through this motherfucker's neck, and before the blade is out his neck, it's healed. What the fuck are we doing?
His swings. I go much more in depth on Muzan's wide range of scaling potential based on how you interpret certain feats and statements in my Sukuna versus Muzan video, but what I've laid out here functions as a good baseline for his battle against Jujutsu Kaisen characters. Placing Muzan in the position of Sukuna and having him face the full might of a Gojo-less Jujutsu society breeds some fascinating results. Above all else, his insane healing factor, combat speed, and poisonous blood prove to be the most difficult things for these sorts.
It's not just poisonous, the shit fucking removes and debilitates your cells. So not only is he just dealing with poison and getting out of your system, you have to also try to remake new cells.
sorcerers to overcome. Even when being extremely generous to the cast and arguing that they peak as lightning timers based on characters like Kashimo and Hikari, the fact of the matter is that we've seen Muzan deal with and even Perception Blitz numerous characters who should scale pretty relatively to this level, meaning that the sheer enormity of assailants and their speed isn't likely to overcome Muzan's ability to respond.
Texas Capital has done
and react. Add to this his healing factor that is so integral to demons, which was so quick that for a time the Hashira were under the impression that their swords were just passing through him, and you have a supremely fast, nigh unkillable demon that will never tire and endlessly pursue you. This means lower level characters that were fighting against Sukuna like Choso and Ino won't be able to do all that much, but top tiers like Yuji, Yuta, Maki, and Hikari should be more than capable of surviving Muzan's initial onslaught due to multiple feats and calculations making their durability at least
but they need
to
time
Muzan's
to breathe.
output. Yuta surviving multiple granite blasts from Ishigori, who is feats calc to be small town level, should be applicable to his fellow heavy hitters, as they're all narratively implied to be within the same realm for one reason or another. You could argue that they should be even a bit higher than this based on the results of their time skip training leading up to the Shinjuku Showdown, but the increase here isn't really quantifiable. Much like the Hashira and their mark training, the increase here is implied to be significant, but not rooted in enough objective information to pull any crazy increases or multipliers from. In any case, the real MVPs of Shinjuku Showdown plus Hikari, through a mix of their own healing abilities and enhanced durability, should be—
if he's gonna go with the fucking attack the soul method, even though the soul operates differently for different series. Actually, you know what? I can get by it with Yuji's domain purely because I believe it pulls into some mental shit and it does not miss. But otherwise, no.
Be capable of surviving many strikes from Muzan without fear of death. That being said, just because his strikes wouldn't possess enough kinetic energy to tear them to shreds like Sukuna slices doesn't mean that they're in the clear. The problem with Muzan doesn't actually come from the tentacles themselves. What will prove to be most lethal is his poisonous blood, something that he injects into every single one of his attacks, and a poison so deadly that it's able to completely incapacitate foes in just a few minutes. Hikari, while in Jackpot, should be able to get around this due to his autonomous RCT, but as shown in his fight with Kashimo, even he requires some time to filter the toxins out of his system in order to get back to fighting at top speed. So the dozens of attacks he and all of his allies are guaranteed to take may very well overwhelm him. This effect becomes even more exacerbated in Maki and Yuta's cases. Yuta possesses RCT, sure, and you might even be able to argue in favor of Yuta having a high enough level of proficiency to wager that he can heal poisons, but Maki's healing doesn't imply that she has a great way of dealing with things like this.
It's not healing just poison, it's poison and also cellular damage. You just fucking nightmarishly tearing your shit apart.
And even in the event Yuta can heal from poison, spamming RCT every time he takes an attack will only drain his stamina faster and essentially eliminate him as a threat in this battle. Yuji actually fares the best when it comes to dealing with Muzan's poisons, as we know that he has an insane resistance that actually borders on a complete immunity to the greatest toxins in the verse. This means, with the exception of Yuji and Hikari, as well as maybe someone like Shoso due to his own blood having a poisonous effect, Muzan has a clear win con assuming he peppers every sorcerer with his poison and survives long enough for it to finish them off. As a condition to win, this is Muzan's most consistent and most likely. Now, does this mean that he just—
also, just want to say this now, shockwave shit, if I'm correct, doesn't that also attack your internals? Also, you can then suck them in with his air and exhale and inhale type shit.
completely wipes the anti-Sukuna squad with no level of resistance?
No.
No, not exactly. As it typically does in cross-verse battles, the domain expansion functions as the great equalizer, an enclosed space that would allow for a particular sorcerer to bombard Muzan with 120% of their full power without fear of avoidance, paired with multiple unique abilities and conditions, adds a layer of complexity to this battle's outcome. And the fact that Muzan's poison does take a few minutes to take effect means that certain characters might be able to get—
it's not just that it takes a few minutes, it's that it takes a few minutes with Slayers because they particularly are poison resistant already. I don't see Yuta having poison resistance when they should be dead instantaneously. Yeah, no, we're giving a little few more advantages to these people because, like, oh, it takes a little while. No, we clearly stated that most average humans die instantly unless you have a resistance, in which the breathing styles inherently do.
Summon off and deal some real lasting damage to him. Yuta, Yuji, Maki, Higuruma, and I guess Takaba all pose threats to Muzan's life in some way or another quite directly. I personally rarely include Takaba in conversations
Honestly, Takaba, I agree with this.
like this, mainly because the limitations and applications of this technique are ambiguous, but the comedian definitely is a viable way to disrupt Muzan's flow, and in the most extreme examples might outright erase him from existence. Outside of this, weapons like Soul Split Katana should be capable of circumventing Muzan's healing factor, as soul-based regeneration is never an ability put on display by him. This would be an
Hey, welcome back, local. Okay. Soul based regeneration. Great. The soul in Demon Slayer is within the mind. Why are we attacking his soul? Unless you have a way of hitting that. Usually hitting it because domain can't miss makes perfect sense. Why is the katana somehow hitting it?
amazing help in slowing his movements and consistently weakening him. However, due to the nature of Maki's fighting style and her inferior stats, finishing the job this way seems unlikely unless she pulls off some Toji-esque sneak attack on him. It is here where our domains are their most important. Allowing someone like Higuruma to open the fight with his barrier almost guarantees confiscation and the death penalty taking place. What confiscation would look like in Muzan's case, I'm not sure. Maybe he'd lose access to his demon arts, or maybe nothing occurs as there is no true cursed technique analog.
Why are we giving him cursed energy? That doesn't make sense. The fuck?
Oh,
Hello, welcome.
what's up? I ain't gonna be here.
Bro, you sound incredibly fucking quiet. I'm watching a video where someone's trying to power scale the difference between Muzan versus the JJK cast. I'm just like, yo, why are you giving him cursed energy? That doesn't, no, that isn't fair at all. He should be treated like an object. Like, it's crazy when people do crossword shit and then they give benefits to people that it's like, I'm gonna give you cursed energy. That's totally fair. No, no, motherfucker. Your thing auto hits on people with that shit. Why? I don't get any. Unless you give me a curse technique, why am I getting cursed energy? The fuck?
Right.
Bro, you sound tight as hell. Hold up. Can I turn your volume
Man,
up?
that's
Alright, I got you now.
that's why I said I'm not gonna be in the car for long.
I got you, got you.
Yeah. Yeah, I just forgot to stop by because after finished playing Final Fight with a buddy of mine, I was like, man, I'm bad tired.
Alright.
Let me make this quick because I did say I'd pop in. So.
Yeah, it's nice seeing you, man.
Mm-hmm. I see you too.
Don't your ass fall asleep now.
Excuse me. Nice hearing you. I'm thinking about it, but yeah, let me. You know,
Get on your way,
yeah,
man.
you enjoy your stream.
Yeah.
All
See.
that good stuff. All right, peace.
For demons. Regardless of this fact, the Executioner's sword would be in play, and thus the capacity to instantly kill Muzan Kibutsuchi is in.
He would be treated like a literal object. What is the situation and specifications of this crossword scenario? Because if we're dragging Muzan in and we're giving him cursed energy, what the fuck is he getting out of this? Because they just get a benefit out of this. He's not. Why?
Introduced to the scenario. If paired with Yuta, Yuji, Toto, Maki, and Hikari in an all or nothing mad dash to get one slash in on him, I can genuinely see this scenario taking place, in contrast to how it played out against Sukuna. Not only is Muzan less of a tactical genius than him, being far less privy to the wily ways of sorcerers, but we see him get slashed by opponents a blitz level difference below him because the only thing he truly fears are the sun and those who can harness its power through unique breathing techniques. It's very possible that Higuruma sustains numerous injuries in order to get in a single poke, or even tosses the blade to one of his stronger allies to allow.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Get the hell out of here, you fucking advertiser.
Allow them to finish things, combined with Toto's refined and improved Boogie Woogie.
Nah, the Boogie Woogie would be a pain in the ass for Muzan. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think he got a way of countering that shit. To be pain in the ass.
A far cry from a certain victory, as Muzan's feat is extremely crazy relative to theirs, but it's a feasible outcome nonetheless. A similar thing can be said for Yuta and Yuji's domains landing, although it requires you to interpret some of their abilities and Muzan's resistance in pretty wacky ways. Yuji's soul targeting slashes might be capable of severing Muzan if you think the strength he's accrued from all the humans he's eaten and the power of his upper moons that he wields is quite similar in nature to Sukuna's bond with Megami.
No. Toto and Yuji never lost a jump session. I agree. I do agree with that local. I also just want to say that Muzan's a pain in the ass to kill when he moves so fast that they will literally just be cutting through him and they'll look like they just moved their sword through. It's like, did I cut your head off, right? Like, yeah, you did. Then what? Oh, it regenerated like literally less than a millimeter behind the blade. As you pulled it out, it was already finished. It's like, okay. Fuck you.
This is merely my interpretation of how Itadori's technique could interact with him, but if you find this implausible, I can't really be mad at you, as it's kind of hard to compare this one-to-one. In any case, just having Shrine do physical damage to him constantly within his domain does give the sorcerers a leg up regardless, meaning that expanding Malevolent Shrine would probably be...
It's a bunch of slashes that he can't avoid, but at the same time, he's... What? How are they killing him?
To his benefit. Mutual and Authentic Love is in a similar boat, as it has the potential to kill Muzan with Jacob's Ladder, at least if it has an effect on Muzan similar to that as the sun, but that's quite reliant on you assuming Muzan's biological makeup is similar to that of an incarnated sorcerer when you kind of like equalize the verses.
What? Okay, so we are doing some reverse equalization weirdness? Okay, the fuck? If it's light, then I say that it is light, right? It burns him. If it's not light, then... Well, no, it can't just be light, because it has to be sunlight. Because if it was just light in general, then that shit would actually be every light source in the world would burn him. You could hold a candle to Muzan and he would literally fucking die.
If you're particularly generous to Akotsu but don't believe in the Jacob's Ladder argument, you might even be able to argue in favor of a domain amped, max output curse speech attack with it set as the domain sure hit effect, potentially taking him out. Muzan's lack of cursed energy certainly makes it difficult to speculate on Yuta's capacity to simply tell him to...
So, we're saying lack of cursed energy now. That we're saying lack of cursed energy because it's like low because you're doing equalization nonsense, or we're saying that he has none because he didn't come from a verse where cursed energy existed. Because this is basically the equivalent of giving someone a chakra system, which is an organ that they never should have had in the first place. In this case, you're giving them an energy type that they don't have the ability to use. Because if you want to give a Muzan a curse technique, this is fair game. But otherwise, what the fuck?
To die, but just like everything else listed, I think it's at least possible that he does some lasting damage with an attack like this. Speaking of cursed energy, there's a massive Maharaga-sized elephant in the room that I do think needs addressing since we're talking about domains. Characters in Demon Slayer have no cursed energy, and does Muzan's...
Wow, we finally got here? Damn. I was wondering where that part was coming in.
Innate lack of cursed energy mean that he would simply be ignored by the barriers and sure hit effects present within all of these characters' domain expansions.
Oh my god.
And the answer to that question is...
Okay, cool. As long as we were able to get through that shit, I'll say like, yo, what the fuck are we doing here? Then again, I did tear up a comment section of yours in the past about fucking Demon Slayer.
Yes. In the Demon Slayer universe, cursed energy doesn't exist, nor does any aura system that would naturally be its equivalent. Objectively, this would mean that Muzan would function like a heavenly restriction user, like Toji or Maki, rather than a sorcerer or even a regular human. Which, quick aside, people always reply in the comments of these videos.
Oh shit. All right. Yeah, no. I feel it. I've been watching this shit halfway through. He was like, "Shut the fuck up." I know. It honestly, it's fair. It's fair as fuck.
Muzan would function like a heavenly restriction user,
You
like
got my ass.
Koji or Maki,
You got
rather
my
than a
ass.
sorcerer or even a regular human. Which, quick aside, people always reply in the comments of these videos saying that normal humans don't have cursed energy, but like, they do. They just
Oh no. I get that part. Normal humans do have cursed energy, but these motherfuckers are coming from a verse, in which case they have none at all.
can't control it and don't have all that much. That's why you see those random Shibuya residents getting
Hey,
absolutely
Kopi,
brain
watching
blasted
in
by
power scaling
Gojo's
video.
infinite void. But in any case, if you strictly adhere to this valid line of logic that no cursed energy in Demon Slayer means no cursed energy for Muzan, then he would remain unaffected by domains and beats the anti-Sukuna squad 10 out of 10 times.
As long as we got that wording out the way, cool. I can keep my agenda. I just want to keep the facts straight and good. Now, if we want to make the occasion that if we do give him the fucking cursed energy, he gets shit on immediately. Too long? You were gone for a little bit, but like we're halfway through. It's a 21-minute video, and we are at 11 minutes and about 12 minutes.
Without the ability to tie him down and guarantee attacks landing, then they are absolutely fried. However, I'm personally of the opinion that hypothetical matchups like this require a little bit of pizzazz, or at least
You require to be fixed to fights. After back to play this, yes, I left right where you left off, Kopi, because I didn't want to just watch it without you.
should encourage some level of creative liberties. We assume Muzan can.
It's okay to fix the fight so that the showmanship works. It's like arranging a fight between two people, and you're the manager. You're like, all right, my dude has never trained against this type of shit, and my dude doesn't train against this type of shit. Cool. All right, then I'll promise that he doesn't use this, and you'll promise that he does. Good. All right, cool. Fixing the fights is not against my idea. I just want to keep it straight when we are fixing the fights and when we're not fixing the fights.
See and harm curses as well as jujutsu based attacks in order for the battle to take place in the first place. And in a similar way, I like to presume some level of domain efficacy unless extenuating circumstances apply or the character has an explicit reason as to why they would not be included within a barrier. In the event that we do assume domains work, the scale tips in favor of the anti-Sukuna squad just a bit. I mean, just think about every battle in JJK where a domain is utilized first. 9 times out of 10, it's a massive momentum shifter. And that's almost always against characters who are aware of that possibility, as well as potentially possessing counters for it. Against an outsider with no knowledge like Muzan, this surprise factor becomes even more potent. His greatest saving grace in this instance is that most domains owned by the anti-Sukuna squad don't represent the pinnacle of lethality in the same way some sorcerers do outside of this group. The only domain discussed today with a bulletproof way to kill.
Yeah, I like the idea of UG just trying to like hit him with soul shit. I honestly am fine with that one. I do agree with Higuruma. And fucking Christ, if we had to charge not Sukuna, but Muzan. Sorry, I was thinking about the fact that we had Sukuna literally just say guilty. Muzan's not gonna actually. He might actually just straight up say like, "I'm not guilty of this."
Muzan is Higuruma's, but due to the nature of the death sentence being carried out physically, Muzan's greater speed should allow him to evade this attack under most normal circumstances. Whether or not he is nicked by this blade and subsequently killed rests solely on the sorcerer's cunning and Muzan's lack of knowledge about the severity of this attack. Without either of these coming into play, Muzan be able to evade them endlessly. If he is vulnerable to Itadori's soul-severing slashes or Jacob's ladder for the aforementioned reasons, I do see the chances of the sorcerers coming out on top increasing. Having more immediate, numerous, and subtle forms of taking the Demon King out gives them much more than the snowball chance in hell that I've been discussing for them thus far.
Shut the fuck up. Get in the ground. I hope all these advertisers just fucking drown.
Main focus of this video thus far has been questioning Muzan's performance if he were in the shoes of Sukuna, but when throwing him to the wolves, addressing and discussing other potential threats to him seems appropriate. As established, when going over how Muzan fares in a fight against the anti-Sukuna squad, it's fair to assume that in most of these battles, he'll have an overwhelming speed advantage, attack potency capable of harming most sorcerers and curses, and the regenerative ability to win a prolonged bout. This means in order to compete with him, one must possess a very powerful domain, a unique curse technique, or the explicit attack potency that would allow them to completely obliterate him in one shot, taking the possibility of regen off the table. One group of characters that comes to mind when contemplating these conditions is the cluster of disaster curses. All of them possess ridiculous wells of cursed energy, passive regeneration, insane attack potency, and most importantly to this discussion, domain expansions with lethal sure hit effects. Without the increased technique potency and auto-locking provided by their barriers, curses on the lower levels of this group, like Dagon and Hanami, like
last Demon Slayer movie and trilogy. Yeah. Kopi, are you caught up in terms of the latest Demon Slayer movie? Because I'm just saying, Akaza went for it. Also, my boy Tanjiro did what he had to do. Anyways,
don't pose that much of a threat to Muzan. Dagon specifically would in no way be fast enough to compete with Muzan's tendril attacks, and in all likelihood would be worn down Toji style if he didn't.
Yeah, no, I just want to talk about the absolute terror that Muzan would propose to JJK. Because he's a Mahito situation of, don't let this fucker get around the regular civilians, please. Don't, like, Muzan likes to hide. He likes to get away and just run away. So if he can, he's going to just make a bunch of civilian demons and dip.
Open his domain. I can certainly see his Fish Shikigami prolonging a battle with Muzan, as he'd genuinely have no way of defending himself from the full scope of the sea, but Dagon's energy well would eventually run dry, and none of the techniques shown lead me to believe he'd be capable of just obliterating Muzan in a single strike, domain or no. The outcome is quite similar for Hanami, although I do think she fares a tad bit better. Her buds could drain Muzan's life force if they're able to connect, and while we don't see it
Alright, sure.
in effect, Hanami does have access to a massive solar beam that can be paired with her domain. Its attack potency, range, and scale is a bit dubious, though. We know that she thought it'd be capable of obliterating Goodwill, Todo, and Yuji, but they in no way scaled to the high tiers of the verse needed to establish a one-shot range. So even if the charge time is allotted and the technique lands, it's very possible that it just takes a chunk out of Muzan and he regenerates before wearing her down as well. The two most promising prospects of this group are Mahito and Jogo, as they tend to be.
Yep, pretty sure it's in September and November. Wait, really? This year or next year? Because I was like, I thought they were gonna be like 1 year, one each year. Oh, you talk about this one.
Mahito's here for obvious reasons. His invulnerability to conventional attacks makes all of Muzan's flailing a fruitless endeavor. Pair that with his domain's ability to warp and distort the soul, and Mahito's win condition becomes as clear as day. Get absolutely blitzed repeatedly by Muzan until he realizes he can't hit him, then just go ahead and, pop his domain. Even with his pretty overpowered regeneration, Muzan would have no way of recovering from idle transfiguration, as the technique literally warps your soul to take on a different form, rather than inflict some vague level of damage upon you. In Jogo's case, a win is possible, but a bit more contentious. While much faster than Dagon and Hanami, he would still be nowhere near quick enough to contend with Muzan in a pure contest of speed. And after getting slashed up for a while, opening his domain would be an absolute necessity. The only way I don't see this playing out properly is if Jogo, in his arrogance, doesn't pop a domain for whatever reason, but I don't imagine him applying that like post-Sukuna and Gojo domain fear to someone that doesn't even really have cursed energy like that. Cutting speed out of the equation with Coffin of the Iron Mountain would allow him to use maximum meteor with no fear of Muzan avoiding this attack, and based on the tremors and damage shown in Shibuya, this has been calculated to be about a multi-city block level feat. Enough to damage him maybe, but certainly not enough firepower to outright incinerate him if need be. All hope isn't lost for Jogo though, as in the Jujutsu Kaisen fanbook, maximum meteor is stated to be able to turn a town to dust and ash. flesh. Assuming this is in reference to, the average Japanese town and Jogo is actually vaporizing it, this would be a small country level feat, which should be more than enough to incinerate Muzan in a single blow based on what we've seen him capable of in the story. Now, in hearing that, you might wonder why destroying a town makes us attack small country level when taken literally, but the logic is like this. Say Mike Tyson punches you in the ribs. Obviously, your ribs and internal organs are going to do the Macarena inside of your body, and you probably will die. That means, Mike Tyson, he's human level.
Go away, go away, go away, go away, go away.
Right? Let's say I punch you in the ribs and then you turn into dust. My punch would be stronger despite you meeting God in both scenarios, because the violence and thoroughness of the destruction capacity is what gives that feat the scaling, and this is what applies to Maximum Meteor and makes it so potentially potent. So while I think that Jogo has a much rougher go of it than Mahito, as he'd actually be taking damage that he needs to heal, Jogo's domain and immense firepower certainly allows for victory over the Demon King in the right circumstances. Another character that potentially has the ability to one-shot Muzan is Yorozu, who finds herself in a pretty similar situation to Jogo, albeit slightly worse, as she doesn't have a known healing factor. Just like every other JJK character, she's far too slow to land any of her attacks outside of a domain, and should be susceptible to his poison.
In all honesty, I'm terrified by the idea of Muzan just running away from a domain. Oh, I see things expanding around me? Yeet! I'm out.
Meaning that in a physical confrontation, she'd find herself quite pressed. But if she can open her domain and land Perfect Sphere, she would just completely eliminate the threat altogether. It's definitely more of a toss-up due to the poison playing a much bigger factor for her, but due to her domain, she does have a chance. Now, every character and every scenario I've laid out here relies on a domain being used and actually landing effectively. So does this mean...
Colby, I agree, though I would not argue that a domain expansion in this fashion... By the way, this is only Muzan for this debate, not including Nakime, which would give him the Infinity Castle, right? It would be funny as fuck, though. If this took place in the Infinity Castle, oh hell no. There's too many demons, they're gonna break that domain from the outside. He's never staying inside. Shit.
JJK characters are domain merchants that can't beat Muzan without them. Yeah, kinda. For the most part, JJK characters do need domains in order to eliminate the advantage that the gap in speed brings, but there are at least 2 characters, 3 if you're counting Takaba again, that can beat Muzan without using domains. The first is Gojo, who... Yeah, I know. For obvious reasons, doesn't have to worry about Muzan's poison or speed. The elimination of a domain from his arsenal would make landing shots difficult, but taking damage isn't going to be an issue, and while Infinite Void would be the most straightforward method of handling him, Gojo does have another option. An omnidirectional, unlimited Hollow Purple would likely be enough to catch Muzan unaware, especially when he doesn't understand all of the conditions for Gojo's techniques. The great thing for Gojo as well is that he doesn't have to rush to this conclusion either. He too has unwavering stamina and a high battle IQ that would allow him to accurately assess the situation and act accordingly. The only other character that I can think of to defeat Muzan without a domain is Mahoraga, the ever-evolving Shikigami of the 10 Shadows. While we don't see it adapt to purely physical stat differentials, it'd be more than capable of growing immune to Muzan's poison and tendrils and begin to dish out blows of its own that can't be healed.
I'll be honest with you. Purple as who's become dust. What? Purple. Oh, yeah, I got you.
Possibly even changing the properties of its body to mimic that of a red Nichiren blade or lethal dose of wisteria flowers. We also know Mahoraga can fling imperceptible projectiles as its adaptation furthers, allowing it to phase Muzan out of this battle over time. Now, if Muzan is aware of Mahoraga's adaptation, he might be able to pool all of his strength together into one massive blow to one-shot it, but otherwise, he'd just get adapted to over and over and over until he no longer possesses the ability to...
I just thought about something that's actually fucking terrifying. Something that we completely forgot is in Muzan's moveset. If Muzan wants to, he can just hop into someone else's body and just take their shit. Fuck no! I don't need to see Muzan hop inside of the UG or anybody and then be able to work off a stronger build. Or he'll just turn other people into demons.
Effectively
Muzan Maharaga is the scariest
defend.
option I ever heard of.
So the answer to the question, could Muzan solo Jujutsu Kaisen, is a resounding and pretty confident no. While he possesses speed and hacks that provide serious problems for nearly every tier of Jujutsu Kaisen character, the efficacy of domains and very specific curse techniques do allow for some individuals or group of sorcerers and curses to overwhelm him. The sequel to this video, where I discuss how Sukuna would fare in the world of Demon Slayer, will be coming out next week.
Now, Sukuna v Demon Slayer, I'm gonna be honest with you. This shit ain't fair. It ain't. Good news, at least they gonna be taking his head off multiple times around. I'm gonna be honest with you. You gonna catch a few bodies, but people gonna rush his ass through. I don't see it. Oh, and what I mean is rush his ass through, I mean Sukuna versus Demon Slayer as a verse? Like all of them? No. Sukuna's getting left inside the Infinity Castle, and they gonna have his ass walk down the path of hell. Because I don't care what you say. Sukuna, I want you to fight the upper moons, right? But I want you to fight the upper moons without Muzan getting in the way. Because it's fucking hilarious whenever you think about the idea that almost none of the upper moons really give a fuck about jumping. Like, they don't care about fairness. None of them usually goes with the I need the 1v1, except for maybe Kokushiba or Akaza. Maybe they might actually have an issue with running it in as a jumping. But if Muzan wasn't such a bitch and just let the upper moons jump, oh hell no. I ain't trying to deal with no scenario where I gotta pull up to all 6 upper moons at the same time. And when I say 6, I mean 6. I do not count Kaigaku, that bitch ass bum ass motherfucker. Yeah. You wanna know how much of a bitch and a bum he is? Simple. We got an upper moon 5 spot, and that ain't taken. He went to 6. He did not get up the moon. He did not get sent to fucking 5. Anyways, links will be in the description. If I just had to make this a VOD, I can't tell. This wasn't originally supposed to be one.